Guys, me from the future here just before the video starts. This video is not meant to say anything bad about the company Primark. It's not meant to, just diss the name. I don't mean any disrespect. I've changed names for confidentiality. This video is not meant for that. It is purely just my experience working there. Enjoy! Hey guys, so long time no see, new job, health implications, things. I'm working out a filming schedule, I'm getting there, we're doing it today. Also, if you see me in this same outfit, same bookcase for like 4 or 5 videos, I don't know how many I'm going to record today. It's because I'm recording them back to back. Am I going to change my top? No. Why? Because I'm lazy and because it's England and it's like heat wave, and if anyone lives in England or has been to England on a holiday, our summers are nice but horrible at the same time. Because if you go like Mediterranean, there's a breeze, the air is moving, it's so lovely. Here it's stuffy. I hate English summer. It's not even that warm, it's just stuffy. The air does not move, it is horrendous. But today, I apologise if you hear a lot of noise because of how hot it is. I have the windows open so that I don't just drown in my sweat. So today I'm going to be talking about what it was like working at Primark. Hey! I can't speak for every branch, this is just the branch I worked at. I worked at the Brighton one. If anyone was watching this, works at the Brighton branch, specifically on a weekend like a Saturday, I am praying for you. There is a way out of this. You are going to be absolutely fine. Just keep doing your best. There is more that life can offer you. You are not going to be stuck there. Hello, Bubby. My kitten keeps trying to stalk up on me, but he's being too lazy to actually play. So yeah, you can probably guess by that notion that working at Primark was an experience. Do you want to say hello? This is my bubby. He turned 1 the other day. We got him a new toy. He goes crazy for it. You're going to try and swap my face whilst I'm recording, aren't you? So I got the job at Primark when I was 16, which in the UK is when you can start legally working and earning a paycheck. Like an actual job, like a contracted job. You can try and do like, mowing people's gardens for a bit of cash, or like being a little post boy or post girl or whatever. I didn't do that. I just got a job when I was 16. And we'll start with the interview. So I had learned about this in school. I'm like born in England, been raised in England, so I'm quite British. But ethnic wise, one of my parents is Greek, Cypriot. If any of the Grecians out there get upset with me, I can't help my birth, alright? I've been called a fake Greek by people from Greece because Cyprus separated, got independent. I don't know. It was before I was born, so I don't even know why I'm getting it. But anyway, I was in the interview. They're like, oh, your name doesn't sound English. And I was like, oh, it's not, because, one of my parents is Greek. And they're like, oh, perfect. And I was like, oh, what's perfect about it? And they were like, oh, you tick the box for diversity for us. And I was like, oh, great. And when I learnt this in school, it's called positive racism. For the time that I worked there, the aircon was broken, apparently. Like, you would literally get like 5 staff members standing around a fan, just like, oh. There was even one hidden in like the stock rooms upstairs in the in the back. And we would just all convene there, and like the person who'd got been there the longest would leave when the new person came. That's how we like rotated it, so people wouldn't find out we were there on shift. It was horrendous. It was, especially in the summer, it was horrific. Like, girls were passing out from dehydration. You weren't allowed to have a drink with you on the floor. I was lucky in the changing rooms we could hide our drinks and we could like grab it if we needed it. But if you worked on the floor, you could not. Not all customers were nice. Because it's customer service, not everyone is going to. I was once on the folding tables, so if you ever go into any shop, there's the platforms where all the t-shirts are and you fold and all that. had folded this entire table 3 times because there was a teenage girl next to me who was going through all the piles that I just folded, following me around the table, looking in me in the eye and unfolding and throwing it on. I don't know what was wrong with this girl or why she had the time of day to try and harass me like that at work. I didn't say anything to her, I just carried on with my job. The managers like saw what was happening and they sort of like came over and was like, oh, do you need any help with anything? Trying to like budge her along so I could actually do my job because she was getting in the way. And I've also had, I had a customer scream at me because we didn't have the size. It's like a shoot the messenger game. But quite often a lot of the customers were really, really nice. I mean, obviously they might get a bit upset or frustrated because the line for the women's changing rooms was horrendous. And I mean horrendous. Like, it would be going to the front door of the store, there'd be women with babies in their prams, it's a hot stuffy day, the aircon's not on, the baby's screaming, people are dehydrated, people were fainting, it was just horrendous. And I have so many funny stories from the women's changing rooms. And so many gruesome ones as well. I have picked up dirty tampons and pads that have been left by people. It was grim. It was horrendous. People would go in there and pee themselves. It was just horrendous. I think the worst one we had, I shouldn't laugh at this, but it's still known to this day. If I speak to a girl who works at Primark, I'm like, oh, does this story still go around? They're like, you worked here in that time? I was like, yeah, I know everything. I was there that day. So a woman came in and she looked really pale, like grey in the skin. And she was sweating and it was bad. And she came in, just didn't even look at what she was grabbing, grabbed something off the rack, just walked towards us, was like 2, and went in. I went to the back to look for something for a customer and I came back and one of the boys I was working with who came to collect stuff to take out to the floor was laughing his head off. And I was like, what's wrong? And he said she pooped herself, severe diarrhea all over the changing room, and then used the curtain as toilet paper. It was horrendous. It stunk, and then the cleaners came and the cleaners cleaned it with bleach, and then it stunk of bleach for ages, and I feel so sorry. I don't know which cleaner it was. They had to take the curtain home to clean it. The curtain used as toilet paper had to be taken home to their own washing machine because we didn't have any. Also, this is the thing, if none of you know this, I don't know about any other place, it was just Primark when I worked there. If someone tries something on, it does not get cleaned before it gets put out on the floor. The worst I've seen was, it was like winter time, you had the really fluffy jumpers. A woman came out the changing room, she was about to hand me the stuff she didn't want, and she sneezed on it. Like, obviously didn't mean to, but she did. And I'm not kidding you, you could see the bogies and snot on the fluff because it picks up moisture. And that went into the back and it got taken back out to the floor. Which is grim because someone else tried that on and probably got sick. Now after a pandemic, I'm like, Jesus Christ, that was not good. So I always say to people, like, try things on the changing room, wash yourself afterwards and clean the clothes before you use them. You do not know where they have been. You do not know who has put them on before you or how many people have put them on before you. It's not that hygienic. They're not brand new clothes. Like, they aren't never been worn. They have been worn by people, and you don't know if someone has like a skin thing. You don't know if anyone had a rat. Like, you just don't know. So I always say to people, clean clothes that you buy because you never know. Like, honestly, thinking about it, I was like, yeah, there's no way they're gonna able to like laundry all of the clothes and put it back out, but you know, growing up you think, oh, new clothes, they're fresh and clean, and most people don't wash them before they wear them out, but you need to, so please do. So yeah, that's always an advice I would give. But that was the worst one we had when women pooped in there. I would say there is not one changing room in that Brighton store, in the women's changing room, that has not had piss or blood or poo on it. Like, just don't touch anything. Basically, don't touch anything. It's grim. I'm a germaphobe when it comes to toilets, and knowing that people had used the changing rooms for that, I was like, nah. I would have like baby wipes. I refused to put my bare feet on the floor. I refused to, like, I would put like paper bags down if I ever went in there to try something on, or if I went in with friends, I was like, nope. I am not letting my bare skin touch that because I don't know what's been on it. And working there was fun. Like, the people I worked with were hilarious. The actual people on the floor, I had a really good relationship with them. If we bump into each other now, we're still like, oh my god, hi, how are you, and all that. I didn't have the nicest manager though. I won't say her name, but we'll call her Lily. And Lily had a girlfriend in head office, which meant that whenever someone complained about her girlfriend who was in head office who dealt with complaints would just brush it under the rug. And Lily was a manager who I always felt she literally made every single person who worked there cry. It was my life mission to never let her make me cry. And I never did. But she was nasty. She would follow you around the whole day. Like, me and my work colleagues used to joke that she had a pot with lollipop jars, like sticks, with people's names written on them, and she'd just pick one out. She's like, oh, I'm going to pick on that person today. Now, she was so bad that she would actually scream at work colleagues. She screamed at me a few times. But she would scream at them, and they'd cry, and they'd want to leave, because of course, no one wants their manager screaming at them. And she wouldn't do it discreetly. She would do it in front of customers, in front of your work colleagues, in front of other managers. And the other managers who knew that her girlfriend worked in head office were like, oh, please don't complain about her, like, we'll get in trouble for it, like, we're really sorry on behalf of her, blah 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 blah. And it was just a horrible situation. And she was my manager, and I honestly saw her a bit like a monster. Like I said, we had to ask permission before we left to go home. I never did that. And the codes to get into like the staff area change quite frequently. So I put in the old code accidentally, and then when you do that, the door goes beep beep beep. And I swear to God, it was like she was an owl or a praying mantis. Her head turned 180 degrees, and she looked at me, and I put the right code in and I ran. I knew she was coming for me. And I got to a point I was pulling things in front of the staircase, like the racks, and I could hear her running up behind me and all that. And she came through the door just as I clocked out. And I looked at her and I was like, you right, Lily? And she was like, yeah, just came to get a cup of tea. And I was just like, you fake ass, like, oh, you fake little person. You, like, she would always try to catch me out because she didn't want me to go home, but I had very strict parents where I had to be home for dinner. So she was not fun, but my work colleagues were. We would play a lot of games, especially in the winter with like the fluffy jumpers. We would drag our feet across the floor and then play like tag, but we'd give each other electric shock with it. Or we'd get the pricing guns and we'd put ourselves as like $1 million and put it on our name tags, and we always got told to take them off because we're being immature. But like, we were 16, we're in Primark, the managers don't care. They never came to help us out in changing rooms when it was so stressful. Oh, it was horrendous. I remember one day, I think 2 girls had gone home because they felt sick, and the other girl just didn't come into work that day. There was meant to be 4 people in the changing rooms, and I was the only one left to do 4 people's jobs. So in changing rooms, you know, you welcome people in, you also take their items and you put them in the back. Then there's someone in the back who sorts through it all, puts into separate sections to be sent to the floor, and folds what needs to be folded. Then there's the person who takes all of that stuff out, and there's usually 2 people doing that. And the person on front welcoming people in and taking items back also have an extra job of the cards and the numbers you have to put through, so that they know for their numbers and all that upstairs in their database, they know how much is getting tried on. And also there was a phone there for security, so if that rung, it was only ever security that rung it. So it was really stressful. I had to go 2 hours on my own doing 4 people's jobs. It was a mountain in the back. I had to pull the curtain too, just so that the customers wouldn't see it. And it got to a point I was so stressed out. My managers saw me. They knew I was there. I asked for them to send help. And they should just avoid the changing rooms. It's what they all did. None of them wanted to go there because they knew they'd be lumped with it and they didn't want to get involved. It was a stressful environment. And it was really stuffy and hot. So I remember there was one point a customer came out and I had a line coming in, and I just went, oh, excuse me 1 minute, I just need to go do something. Because it was like a peak time. And I went out the back, I closed the curtain behind me, and I screamed into the clothing. Like, I tried to muffle it, but I was so stressed I screamed into the clothing. Keep in mind I am 16. My anxiety, I was having a panic attack at the same time. It was just stress. And I hadn't had a drink in 3 hours. It was so hot. so stuffy, so stressful. And I remember coming back out and I felt better after I screamed. Just like, how was it? Does everything feel fine to you? And they're both, these women coming in, and women coming out just staring at me like. And so I had to go 2 hours through that until they finally got someone in to help me. Even then it was still stress, but I said to her, like, I cannot stay on front. I will sort and fold everything in the back. It was actually a mountain. I was walking on clothes at this point because there was nowhere else to hang them. There was no floor space. You just had to throw it all in. You had to throw it all in. You couldn't block the fire exit, so you had to keep it in the back bit. And the back bit was like a broom cupboard, literally. 2 people could stand up in there, and that was all about you could fit in it. It was so tiny, so small. A tiny bit of like shelving in the back behind a clothes rack. It was so small and stressful. And it was just, that was one of the worst days. I remember the one day overtime I did there. I did a full day. So I was meant to be entitled to 2 15-minute breaks and an hour's break. I didn't get the hour-long break. I didn't get a 15-minute break. I only got 1 15-minute break out of 2. And I didn't even have an hour. It was it was horrendous. I never did overtime after that. It was just burnt me for the rest of my other jobs. Like, I do overtime now. I've grown out of it. But after that, I was like, no, I'm never doing it. A company doesn't look after you. So at the point, they'd come up to me with the overtime book and they'd be like, Dion. And I was like, no. No. Just no. I'm not doing it. It even got to a point I saw when they had the overtime folder out and I would run away. They could not find me. They knew they couldn't. They would even say to me, you always hide when we bring it out. I'm like, yeah, because I didn't get a break the last time and it didn't get paid either. I hope everyone I worked with is doing alright. I hope you're all doing good. But, yeah, that was my experience working at Primark Brighton. Great first job there. You know, Primark are quite, the Brighton one at least, they hired a lot of young people, so it's a good way to get in. But it is very hard working conditions. I was there just as they were changing the uniform, because it used to just be like black shirts with a name tag and black trousers. Now they've got t-shirts. And I remember the options it was between. It was either between like the lycra one that they've got now, which is blue or black, or a black like near fleece knitted jumper thing that had a white embroidery going, I heart Primark, and it looked so bad. And they put it to the staff, they were like, oh, which one do you prefer? And I was like, the lycra one. I'm not wearing a jumper in the summer. I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not. Because they wouldn't have, like, seasonal uniform either. It's just that. It was horrendous. I do not miss working there at all. I don't even want to go in there as a customer because of my experience there. It was nasty. But yeah, that was my experience. My very first job was working at Primark. And that was my experience. Great fun. Great times. But yeah, it was, to be honest, it was okay. I did 4 hours every Saturday and I got £19 at the end of the month, which I was very excited for my first paycheck. But that is my experience, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If any of you are looking for a job in Primark, go for the quieter days for your sanity. It may, like I said, each branch is different. You could work at a really lovely Primark. It's just that that was my experience at that Primark. No, hey, I don't hate Primark. I don't really like it because of how it was, but that was just my experience. I'm not making this video in any way, shape or form to diss Primark at all. It was just my experience working there. Confidentiality, I did change names, so you can't come for me. But yeah, so that was it. That was my very first job. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it helped some of you out if you're making decisions or whatever. If you just wondered what it's like, that's what it's like. But I hope you guys have a lovely rest of the day, and please stay safe. Just look after yourselves. I hope you guys have a good time. Bye guys.